Welcome back, everybody. Big John in the house. I wanted to do, I never went through all that report, and it mentions Oldham in it. So let's just have a look at the Oldham section. I give up counting far-right neo-Nazi over 150 times. The whole report, to me, implies that everything on it is politically correct, racist, and things like that. Thank you, Budgie Burger. Hope you're all right. So, yeah, they're also going on about sport. They're going on about the Pakistani cricketer who left Yorkshire cricket and said racism and they're all racists and all that. Yeah, the same guy's done anti-Semitic things. Nothing gets said. Hiya, Sally. Nothing ever gets said about other people other than white people being anti-Semitic. Nothing ever gets said, and it absolutely winds me up. It does wind me up significantly. So they profiled everyone, Yorkshire Rose. They went through right-wing parties, transphobia and the far right. We talked about this, but they never mention other communities or anything like that. Sorry about that, guys. 5 o'clock and it's mum's tea time. So we talked about transphobia, but they never mention anybody except for white people. They never mention anybody except for people who are just British. It's just unbelievable. And they make it like it's just a far right thing. It isn't a far right thing. There's many ethnicities and many different kinds of people who just don't do LGBT, and it's being forced on us. I feel sorry for the Ukrainians. The kids are going to get indoctrinated. They'll leave school, they'll be calling the parents racist, and then they'll be turning trans and all that. And in another generation, there won't be no Ukrainian identity left, just the same as what's happening with us. calls for violence. Now, I haven't heard anyone that I know calling to beat up anybody LGBT. You know, I just haven't. No one talks like that. But there's plenty of other people who do it, who will beat up LGBT people for whatever reason. Yes, John Rankin. Signs of Fate, an essential resource for all teachers, educators, parents, and carers. Honestly, I wish I was at school, me, because I would go in and shout for Brexit. And remember, if you shouted for Brexit when you were a kid, they branded you far right. There was a couple of articles over the Brexit time about specifically that, right? Whatever. I mean, just stopping us talking about certain issues is bad enough, and this is what they do. They don't want us to talk about it. But you know, it's going to be different with me. I'm going to talk about these issues whether people like it or not. If people are offended, then it's up to them what they're going to do after that. But I will talk about these issues. I don't want to solve anything with violence, but it's all right for other people to say that. Remember, it was a prominent Muslim activist in Oldham who said there could be riots again if they don't take sex education out of schools. If I would have said that, you'd have never seen me again. I'd have been, I'd have disappeared. The government had made me disappear. I'd be locked up. I'd be charged with 100 different crimes, and I'd be the most nastiest man in the whole wide world. But when other people say it, nobody says nothing. What a joke. They're going on about economics and all that, COVID, conspiracies. We did all this. I mean, like I said, with COVID, if you've had the jab, fair enough, your choice. If you've not had the jab, fair enough, your choice. I don't say anything. I don't say, yes, base Welshman, you are in. Bet Welshie, you are in the report. I don't say anything. I don't give anyone any grief if they've had the jab or they've not had the jab. It's just your choice. You know what I mean? And that's me. But obviously, one sec, guys. Sorry about that, guys. Mum's not well at the moment, and I've just been trying to scrape some mucus out the back of her throat. But anyway, so yeah, and the lockdowns, I didn't like the restrictions, me. But it was all right for MPs, the Prime Minister to all flaunt it. And I had a big issue in Oldham when, at the height of COVID, in the worst area in Oldham, which is Wearmouth, one of the worst places in the country for catching COVID, they had a charity football match with 16 teams. Let me just tell you, none of them were white. And I made a fuss about that. Then Arut Shah said racism is back because people are complaining about the football match. So while you lot couldn't see your grandkids who just lived 5 minutes away, it was all right for 16 football teams to play football. And if you went through and looked at COVID, all them footballers, there was loads of teams wiped out because of COVID, because it's just not. It's not the thing. You don't play football when that COVID's on. Otherwise, you get it. That's how the whole thing was. So I made a fuss about that, and I went on it for weeks, and that's what Arut Shah said. But it's obviously they can answer everything that we criticise, and can answer about, oh, that's racist, politically correct words. I mean, if I ever get in any kind of power, I'm going to do something about them politically correct words. I'm going to do something myself. Just not having it, me. Sovereign Citizens Belief. They've got Graham Moore, the Alpha Team Assemble. Never heard of them. Conspiracy Belief polling. The polls are all rubbish. Don't believe anything. A fake union playing on fears. Fears and far-right politicians behind the Workers of England Union. This is Matthew Collins. Matthew Collins, the fat bastard. That's what I call him. That's what I'll always call him. That's what I'll call him to his face. That's what I've said many a times on streams. He thinks it's all right to accuse me of buying smack, then he's going to get fat bastard thrown at him. And we've got it on film. I'd love to meet that guy again. So they're going after the Workers of England Union now, obviously, because, they don't have the same views. So they want to get them in it as well. Citizen journalist Nigel and whatever his name is. Conspiracies, who's behind it all? Conspiracy Theories Group, Piers Corbyn again. They've gone through everyone here. Everybody. Half of people I don't even know. And I'm guessing 90% of the people that they mention are nothing to do with, like, far right. It's just their views, you know what I mean? And their views to the left and all that can be considered far right. There's going to be stuff done about these kind of groups if I ever get in any power, I promise you. And I've been talking today with Pat, and it's going to be on our list, these kind of groups. It's going to shut them down. Going to shut them down for the fake stuff. They can't even spell Yaxley Lennon properly on here. Tech, they're going on about tech. BitChute, Parler, Gab, Getter, Rumble, Telegram, all the places. Far-right terrorism. There is no far-right terrorism. They might have arrested a few people, but I know people who've been arrested for having flyers on them and have been on the terrorist watch list. I know people who've been attacked off 40 masked Antifa, and they got put on the terrorist watch list. So the terrorist watch list is a load of bullshit, if you ask me. Something that I'd have to be looked at, and we'll look at who's put it in place and all that. It's wrong. And what they do, they're so desperate to blame other people that they have to blame the white man for everything and not blame anyone else. We all know that for the past 20 years, 100% of the terrorist attacks we've had in the UK have been Islamic. And there's been dozens. And what about the ones that we never found out about? Look at Josh, George and Harry. Certainly was some kind of terror attack, and it got covered up. So, it's nothing to do with white people, I'm sorry, terror. Nothing to do with it. Attempts at constructing weapons rather than acquiring industrial-made counterparts is a growing, potentially deadly trend. Someone had plotted to shoot a classmate with a 3D printed weapon. I mean, well, they said that, but what about all the weapon stashes? They found a weapon stash in Glodick. The Pakistani era Glodick a few years ago came in the news and nothing was said about it. Nazi terrorists, and these are the people who've been arrested or whatever. And, they don't look like terrorists to me. And again, they haven't done nothing. They haven't done any violent crime, just said something on computer or whatever. And I reckon half of them have been set up to make it look like they're all Chris Donald as well. Yes, John Rankin. They set this up, and they set people up to make it look like there is right-wing terrorism. I'm not saying there isn't any far right people. There probably is, but I haven't met any. Everyone I've met is working class and just pissed off that being used by everyone. The far right wrestles with Ukraine. I'm not wrestling with Ukraine. I'm not far right anyway. This fucking political correct terms. The thing is, we shouldn't be involved in this. 2014, the Americans went in, took with the help of the American, they overthrew the president then, put a new one in, and since 2014, 10,000 people have died, and no one said nothing until now. Then everyone's crying about it. And the other thing is, we've got 100,000 Ukrainians coming here. And the thing is, Pakistanis don't want them here. We had I have put a little video out on my Facebook. We had a vigil at the church in Oldham. No one turned up from council, right? Because Imran Khan has shook hands with Putin. So Pakistanis aren't going to want the Ukrainians here. They aren't going to want the Ukrainians here. Remember, Labour Party only go on about Palestine, Kashmir, and just things like that are outside the country to do with one set of people. Not everybody, just one set of people. They're going out, the Labour Party. They're going populist, radical right. What's all this? The fascist far right, populist. All these words are just made up to demonize mainly white people, unfortunately. Conspiracy theorists respond to Ukraine. I don't give a shit, mate. Don't want any Ukraine refugees here, and we should be staying out of wars. I said this yesterday that our country, the United Nations and the EU, they're all warmongers. They're all stinking warmongers. Politicians, mainstream poison, politicians, particularly from the Conservative Party, are failing to tackle racism and prejudice, even within their own ranks. Labour is still grappling with the legacy of ongoing anti-Semitism. What they don't tell you in that report, it's not from white people, it's from brown people, mainly Muslims, who are anti-Semitic. That's why a senior member of parliament 2 years ago had to be escorted, who was Jewish, had to be escorted to the Labour conference with security because of anti-Semitism within the Labour Party. But they won't tell you, but the anti-Semitism doesn't come from white people within the Labour Party. It comes more from brown people, unfortunately. Labour is still grappling with the legacy of ongoing anti-Semitism attack for the continued failure to address anti-black prejudice and Islamophobia within the party, and has been widely condemned for some of its literature in the Batley and Spen by-election last summer. We all know Kim Leadbeater are only bothered about Kashmir, Palestine, things outside the country. If I have to do that to get people to vote for me, then I'm just doing the wrong thing. I'm going the wrong way. People should vote for me because they believe in me. They believe I'm honest. They believe I'm speaking the truth. People shouldn't vote for me because I stick up for things abroad. My party, we're not going to have any influence financially from abroad. If I got a donation for my party exceeding £500 from someone else abroad, it's going, unless that person's English, it's going to be sent back. It's going to be sent back to them. I don't want any Jewish money. I don't want any Rothwell money. I don't want any American money. I don't want any kind of foreign money to help my party. If we can't do our party with just the people, the working class of England, then there's no point in me in it. But I'm not accepting money off other people. I won't. I'm not going to side with anybody outside of the UK. I'm only going to do things for England and Britain. I'm not going to get involved in any wars. I'm not going to get involved in any political things in other countries. I'm just not going to do it. Just going to leave them and let them deal by themselves. If they destroy each other, fair enough. That's their problem. But it's sick. And if you look at it, nearly every party, even the mainstream parties, are influenced from money from outside. Oh, I didn't know that, George Benson. They're influenced from outside the country by foreign scum people. You know what I mean? We don't want it. How much? And I've heard them on the news talking about how much Russians own over here, how much this people are. Anything in England should be owned by British people, not foreign people. Houses for citizens. If we find that somebody in Hong Kong has bought an house over here and he's not living in it, he's renting it out, then we're going to forcibly buy that house back off them and tell them to piss off. And that house is going to be used for people in the UK. No matter what colour you are, people in the UK it's going to be used for. We're not going to let people from other countries buy our properties over here and control it like that. That's going right out the window, that. Right out the window. Words of power. They do have power. Going on about Boris wrongly accusing Keir Starmer of failed to prosecute Jimmy Savile. So, I mean, Boris Johnson certainly must look at right-wing social media to get that thing about Jimmy, to bring up that thing about Jimmy Savile. And, you know, he must have looked at it. And it's a funny story, that. You need to look a bit further into it. I talked about this yesterday, but you need to look a bit further into Keir Starmer and head of the CPC and see all the things. It's not as clear-cut as you see it to be. So, platforming it, British media providing platforms to toxic far-right views. What's toxic? You know, so what? We live in a democratic society where we can put our views out. As long as you're not inciting violence or inciting hate against anyone else, I don't care who's talking. and who's on what platform. I'm not bothered. But this is just a way to silence us. Obviously, we know what they do. They find your address, they find out where you work, they get you sacked and all that lot. Well, they've not done it with me yet, but I'm guessing that will come one time or another. But I mean, I'm not a shitbag, me, and I don't cover my face. My address will be on the electoral thing when I'm running as a candidate. So you know what I mean. And if somebody, I'm just saying, if somebody thinks that they can come down to my house, then they're going to have the police on them. And if they think they can go further than that, right? Just let's say someone broke into my house, they'll be getting my baseball bat around their head. It's simple as. But you know, I'm not frightened, me. I don't have to hide because I don't have to hide from anything. I know these people are nasty. I know what they do, but I'm not hiding. The minute we hide and cover our faces, then we're going to lose votes. You need to be really open and honest, and that goes for anyone who joins our party. We're not having people with masks on. It's just not. It's not acceptable in our party. You have to show your face. You have to have a real name, not a pseudonym. You've got to have a real name. Steve Laws went on Talk Radio. They put that up. Steve is nothing far right or any rubbish like that. It's quite a nice lad. And I like Steve, and I've got a lot of respect for him. And he's done a lot of good work along with everyone else who's been down to Dover. But they're having a go at him just because he what did they say? Because he believes in the replacement or something like that. Morgoth's mentioned. Hyper political new channel. David Lawrence. He can't believe that somebody with my name has done a thingy. I mean, he's probably younger than me, so I can stamp that that's my name, not his. Populist far right. Goes through pitch. David Curtin's in it. It's a joke, honestly. He's not far. I mean, if there was such a thing as far right, he is not in it. He's not in it. Get out. But because obviously holds a view of protecting our culture and origin, they don't want to protect it. They don't want to protect it. I'm going to be on Amigo News channel on Friday again, second time. We're going to talk about the hate crime bill, integration, speaking English, a few things that Sensum has talked about, and I like the stuff he talks about. GB News, they've put up about, I mean, what can you say about GB News? Half the fucking presenters are black as the ace of spades. What, they're going to call all them racists? Ugh. Defend your race, defend your land, achieve immortality. Now, what, you know, well, the far right are rising, they might get violent. There's people already are violent. If I remember correctly, there's been, good afternoon, Peter. There's been a few incidents where someone's gone court, a big mob's turned up and they've had to let the person out. And these people who turn up are white. Fucking hell. Honestly, it's just unbelievable. No one says nothing. No one says nothing when a rapist is let out of the courts because there's a mob of 150 people baying people outside, baying for blood. No one says nothing. No one says nothing when the gangster who's up for charges is let out because there's a mob of 200 people outside baying for blood. No one says nothing. But like, if I was to go to court and say something wrong, they'd soon arrest me and soon want to lock me up. You know what I mean? And I'm not a violent person. I'm not a violent person. Honestly, it's a joke. These things have got to change in our country. If I ever get up there, things will change, ladies and gentlemen. You watch. You watch. Violence and brotherhood. It's all they're talking about. But these violent things aren't directed at anyone except for white people, unfortunately. So you're the most violent in society, even though we know there's other people who are more violent than you. I mean, when is it that a working class Englishman throws someone off the building because they're LGBT? Just you'd never heard of it. Where does a white Englishman go to court because he's chopped up his little daughter's genitals? It just doesn't happen over here. These things don't happen over here. Acid attacks. 20 years ago, there was no such thing as an acid attack. As soon as we open doors for immigration, acid's being thrown all the time. And it's not white people. It's not white English people doing it. But they won't say anything about any of that, will they? So far-right profiles, Mark Clare, Laura Towler. He put up a couple of banners, White Lives Matter, End the Invasion, Stop Immigration. They go on about Hope Not Hate quite a lot. British Movement, never heard of them. Combat 18, did he even exist? I tell you what, I don't know if anyone knows anyone, but I wouldn't mind talking to someone who's supposed to have been in that group, because I believe that Combat 18 and a couple of the other groups that they go on about are made up groups by the establishment and the left to demonize us, because I've never heard of anyone in that. Blood and Honour, never heard of them. White Stag Athletic Club, never heard of them. New British Union, never heard of them. Order of the Nine Angles or Angels? Nine Angles, never heard of them. Independent Nationalist Network, The Link, never heard of them. Far right parties, Britain First, blah blah. Proud Boys, BNP, they go through the usuals for Britain. Oh, national housing parties in English Democrats. I can't believe they put the Scottish Family Party up as well. I mean, I've had Richard Lucas, talked to him a couple of times. We've interviewed him in a demo in Scotland, and they're just against the indoctrination of our kids, LGBT, the pro anti-abortion, but the far right for all that. Really, they're not far right. It's just like I said. If I ever get in any power, a lot of these groups will be shut down. Matthew Collins will be arrested for being a fat bastard, and the rest of them, I'll arrest the rest of them for putting out false things, saying things about people that aren't true or anything like that. Because if I had big backing and big solicitors, I'd take all these scumbags right to court. I would. Right to court. And they think they can. I mean, I've been accused of starting riots in Limeside, and then they even implied, the left tried to imply that I had little boys round at my house. Honestly, these are the kind of things that the left will do. If I ever come across these people who've said these things, I don't know who they are. I know one or two of them, but most of them are all covered faces. And if I ever come across them, boy, I'll probably get arrested, to tell you the truth. I mean, so Hope Not Hate. What have we done about people doing false books like David Augustaloa, who lies and tells you false history? Why don't you have them on your report and stuff like that? Why don't you have Black Lives Matter on? It's a violent organisation who want to just beat people up who aren't white. And it's not my fault that the Chinese are the most cleverest in society, more clever than black people, more clever than white people. It's not my fault. I'm not Chinese. I never did anything to do that, but they are. You can look at a lot of information that will tell you that. And even the Chinese are being put to the back door. Even the Chinese are being put to the back because they're too clever. They're too clever for the anti-fascists and all that. They're too clever for them. But you won't hear that off anyone mainstream. You won't hear it. Going on about people, books and publishing houses and not, God, what a joke. Fucking social media influencers, Margot's Review, GX and Latte, Absolute State of Britain, Daughter of Albion. They've got Nick Cotton, aka Unwashed in. He's wearing a suit as well. Can't believe that. Way of the World. And it looks like they've got Horace's, Gareth Stone, so Unmasked by Hope Not Hate in November. And Horace did an interview with Horace. I liked it. And he does a particular set of videos on beyond easy meat into the rape gangs. And it is, I mean, if you're into that kind of thing and you want to end the rape gangs, you need to watch his videos. He names people, tells you what they've said. He really does go into a lot amount of detail on it. I don't care whether he's with PA, for Britain first, or whatever. He has done a good set of videos on that Beyond Easy Meat. If you can get past the fact that he might not like Jews, then you'll enjoy reading his book on Beyond Easy Meat. Edward Dutton, the Jolly Heretic, Reality Report have mentioned, citizen journalist, far right citizen journalist, and you've got Steve Laws at the top. It's a fucking joke. Little veteran as well. That's a joke. Amanda Smith, another joke. None of these people are far right. They're just filmers. Amanda's done well. They've got her top of the list for how many hotels she's been to. They've got Voice of Wales on as well. They're not far right. Oh, there's Base Welshman, Hugh Thorne, a.k.a. Base Welshman. It's a good name, that. And I mean, what Welsh is not far right. What? You know, honestly, it's a joke, this. Obviously, Leggett gets his own, Active gets his own thing. Street groups, DFLA, they're talking about far right alternative media. Sargon of Assad, Paul Joseph Watson, Arts of Oak. Going to Northern Ireland. The far right in Northern Ireland. Jada's on it with, what's it called? Jim Dawson. Democracy under strain, the rise of dangerous strong man politics. I know they're not far right though. I met both Stan and his mate, and the nice guys. I never heard nothing nasty out of the mouth. They're just concerned about rape gangs, like a lot of us are. So where else do we go? Undermining democracy. Keep going down. They're going on about the elections bill. I'll have to have a look at that. I don't know too much about it. Nationality and Borders Bill, they don't like that. Human Rights Act reform. They're not going to like me when I get in because I'm going to cancel all them. The Nationality and Borders Bill, there won't be a Nationalities and Borders Bill because won't be having anybody in the country. No one's going to be able to come in. We'll have no refugees, no asylum seekers, no permanent settlement. You can take that Nationality and Borders Bill right out the window. Young people, time for action. Don't get follow the wrong road and all that lot. I'm trying to. Hey, where's Oldham gone? Oldham were in here. I must have skip right past that. The whole point of me getting on this was about Oldham. Be right back, guys. Won't be a minute. Just going to go for a quick smoke. Well, I'm back. Just looking for Oldham now. Have a cough up, Mum. And will they ever say anything about false hate crimes being put up? Because there's been a bit of a scandal about that over the past few years, and people have been caught in the act doing it, like that American actor who set it up to get beat up, and he was just lying all the time. The guy should go to jail for 50 years for that. He should do. But obviously, they get away with it because that's the narrative. You know what I mean? Can do anything they want, them lot, and get away with it. No, they can't. I'm looking for Oldham. I've definitely seen Oldham in here. So they go on about diversity, right? So if just take for instance, there's the if the UK is 70% white and 30% whatever colour, right? There would be obviously more white people in positions, higher positions, but that's all being thrown out the window for diversity, and they're putting people up who aren't good enough to do the jobs. That's what they're doing, and it's wrong. That's the wrong way to do. I want the person who's going to do the best job for me, whoever that person is. And my doctor for 30 years, my mum's doctor as well, is African, and he does a great job. I don't want to change him for anybody. He's never done anything bad to our family. He's never misdiagnosed anything or anything like that. So why would I get someone else in, and he's good enough? You know what I mean? And it's the same way on other things. So there obviously is going to be people of ethnic minorities who are good at doing certain things. If they're best at the job, then that's the person I want in best at the job. I don't want a person put in just for the sake of diversity to get the colour numbers up. That's just totally wrong, and that's going to lead to a breakdown of a lot of things in the UK if we don't stop that, if we don't deal with that. I can't find a bit about Oldham, and I've definitely seen something on Oldham in here. something I can agree with them here. The vetting system of the police. Apparently, a guy, Benjamin Hannon, serving Metropolitan Officer, he was convicted of membership of the I don't believe it's just a real group, National Action. He joined the police in 2018 despite 2 years of involvement in NA and a successor group, and after his school teacher reported him for racism. Despite all that, Hannon passed the police vetting system. We know the police vetting system is outdated because it lets sex offenders in as well. More and more. The violent far right is part of a growing, more complicated landscape. A violent what? There's been no convictions for far right terrorism in the UK, as far as I know, that have actually blown people up. There ain't none. It's a joke. I'm sure Oldham were in here. And that's why I did the picture. That's why I wanted to do this, talk about it, because Oldham were in it. No-go zones. Sadly, some far-right conspiracy theories gain such traction that they become widely believed, most notably the fallacious Muslim no-go zones conspiracy. Well, there is no-go zones. You haven't been to Oldham. Did you see what happened to Gavin Opley? I remember there was a video where there was a showery patrol going round and a woman was saying that they can't stop her buying beer. And that's what she were doing, buying beer and going home. And they tried to stop her. So, yeah, these no-go zones are real, people. You don't worry about it. I'd like some of these lot. I'd like Matthew Collins with his girlfriend, if he's got one, after a night out, to walk down Waterloo Street and go through the Glodick area after a night out. So after a night out, she'll have a nice dress on and he'll be smartly dressed. You would not even make it a third of the way through before someone would pull you, and then they'd start giving you shit, probably chase you, and you might get kicked to death like Gavin Opley did. But, well, nothing about that in the news. The killer's got 21. Well, actually, if you do get killed in a no-go zone, you just got to remember, Matthew Collins, that they'll get away with it and get no sentences. Gavin Opley's killers, the highest sentence for 21 months and the lowest sentence 9 months. And it weren't even classed as a race crime when it clearly was. So, you might get famous there, Matthew, if you want to take the bravery to walk through the Glodwick area. I'm trying to find the bit about Oldham. I know it's in here. The legacy of UKIP and the BNP. Big joke. Right. There was definitely something about Oldham somewhere. I know there is. Well, I can't find it now. It was in here. I know it was. I must be not looking properly or flick past it. Mum, what are you up to? Mummy. Mummy. No, can't find it. Sorry, guys. Gonna have to not have the Oldham bit in. I will look after. I'll look for it another time. I was sure it was in. I'm positive. I read about Oldham. They had a couple of paragraphs about Oldham mentioning Raja Mia. But anyway, that's the state of the hate report. It's a lot of it. 90% of that's a joke. And I mean, I'll have, if I ever get any kind of power, I'm gonna have to deal with these people however I can. And if people want to keep branding people, it is just gonna end up bad for these people if they keep branding people. Because what's going to happen? What you're already doing now, you're branding normal people who aren't politically motivated because what they voted Brexit, because they don't want any more immigration. Doesn't mean the far right. It's nothing to do with far right. We've given you reasons why we don't want any more immigration. The biggest one of every reason, even more so than culture and all that. First thing is there's no housing for anyone. That's the very first thing. But I mean, you won't accept that, will you? You just won't accept it. But anyway, the Hope Not Hate report. If you want to read it, you can download it. It's a little PDF file. You can get it from Twitter. I've put it on. I think it's in. Yeah, I've put it on my profile as well. So anyone wants to have a gander, have a read, and I suggest you do. Have a look at what's happening. Look who's saying stuff. So I'm on Amigo News channel next week. Let me just get his. I will be on here next week, next Friday. I think it's around 7 or 8 o'clock. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Is that God bless us in? Yes, God bless. John Enoch Powell, I hope you're all right. Toby Rabley. Peter, thank you. Nobby Noble. George Benson. Budgie Burger. I like that. Rob W, hope you're all right. Klaus, I hope you're all right, man. Right, Spearthrow, how are you, pal? I'm going. Thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. This is Big John. I'm talking about the State of Hate report by Hope Not Hate. There's lots more coming up later on this year. I'm off to Andy Edge's court case, and he's teamed up with Resisting Hate, who are going to be his solicitors in the case. But I'm going anyway. I haven't really got too much beef with Andy, and I want to go and cover the case. And it's against Paul Golding over damage of a car. So that'll be interesting. That's later on in the year. Obviously, there might be one or two other court cases I've managed to get to, but not too many this time. Won't be travelling to. Thank you, Amigo News. I won't be travelling to Leeds much or anything like that outside of Manchester. I'll be too busy here. But yeah, I'm going to be on Amigo News next week. I want to talk about a couple of things. I want to talk about is hate crime, and integration. And with the integration, I'll be talking about schools. And I'll show you what evidence I've got. I've already been through all these school things, and I've already done a video called Integration Month, and you should look at it. It's a really good video with a lot of information in it. So yeah, that's what and there's other stuff coming up, but yeah, that's what I'll be up on next Friday. Thank you very much, everyone, and I'll catch you all soon.